Hello, I'm Karen,
Hi, I'm Claire.
Hello, I'm Kirsty-Louise.
And I'm Paula.
and welcome to the Right Here, Right Now podcast. Yay, we got it right. Okay, so this is our seasonal Christmas episode because what else could it be in December, really? And we have the lovely Kirsty-Louise Garbutt with us today, and she is going to talk to us all about her wonderful Christmas books. Let's have a little chat about how we got to know each other in the first place because
Sure,
we met in a business group, didn't we?
we sure did. Yes, a Mums in Business group. Absolutely.
And being a fellow Christmas lover, I couldn't help but be drawn to your books. I have no immediate children of my own. I do have a nephew who I take care of frequently. But straight away I was like, oh, a Christmas kids book, how fun. So do you want to tell us a little bit about the books you have currently available?
Yes, so it was Santa's Lost Buttons is the first one, which was published in October of 2001. And it's a twist on a real story. So it generates from my real life experiences in 1979, giving my age away here. And I was 5, so you do the math. So, and it was just after meeting Santa Claus, which was my life goal dream. The whole 5 years of my being was to meet Santa. It literally, I had to do it. And when I did, and I remember seeing him stood there eating away on a mince pie and hoing away, and his buttons were kind of heaving. And it was one of those where it was, is it going to pop? Please pop, please pop, please pop a button. And I remember it, and to my dismay, the button didn't pop. And then when I got up the next morning and it was telling my brothers who were both older than me, I met Santa, and it was yeah, of course you did. And I was really dismayed by it because I just thought if I'd have only had a button, I could have proved it. And that is a true story. And that
Wow.
stayed with me my whole entire life. And I wrote stories from then on in, incoherently at first, because obviously my handwriting was only for me in my head. And I would read the story to my mum, and my mum would get all enthralled with it. And then over the years, it obviously got adapted ever so slightly, ever so slightly, ever so slightly, till it finally reached the story of Santa's Lost Buttons. And in 2016, I recreated the button that I saw, and that was purely by chance because I had a gifting business at the time called Perfect Reasons, hence why I later became Perfect Reasons Publications. And I
There we
did
go.
what I called a Believe package, and it had Santa's key in it, a letter from Santa, the Believe bell, and I really, really wanted to add the button. And I just happened to be looking through the internet and seeing what was out there. And I saw a wedding favour, which was a button, exactly the same. So I got in touch with the chap who made them and just said, oh my gosh, that's not a wedding table favour. That's Santa's button. So please, can we recreate it? And it just went from there. I bought 50. This is how it just went from one extreme to another. I bought 50 of them, and I wrote the story very, very basically on an A4 piece of paper and sent it out with the button, telling people what the button was and how to use it and so on and so forth. And everyone was saying, what a fantastic story, you should write it. And I'm like, well, I have. It's just how do I publish it and everything else that went with it. So I bought 50 and I put it out on Facebook on a craft site, on a craft web page, on a craft Facebook page, thinking, well, if I don't sell 50, they'll make brilliant decorations for my tree. So that's fine. I'll just go with that. 10 minutes, they'd all gone. Literally all gone within 10 minutes. So
Wow.
I was quickly to my supplier going, can you do me 100? And can I have them here by like tomorrow? So he did it. I got it the day after tomorrow. But anyway, the 100 sold straight away. As soon as I put a reserve list out, they all sold. So I bought 500 thinking, you're mad. You are crazy mad. You are never going to sell 500. They went within a week, all gone. So this was all within 8, 9 days of them all just going. And I was thinking, oh my goodness, I've now got already a following of Santa's Lost Button. I need to get the book written. But it took me another 5 years after that because I was working full time as an EA at the time. So it was just 14-hour days again and getting home and thinking, I need to get this book written, this book written. And in 2021 got made redundant. Obviously, the pandemic has a lot to answer for, but also was a kind of like the push that a lot of people needed as well. So I finally, getting my trimmings out just at the beginning of December, having just learnt that my job was on the line and I wouldn't find out till January, thinking, oh, this is the worst Christmas ever. And one of the buttons fell out of my decoration box, bounced off my foot, hit the skating board and bounced back. And I was like, oh, the universe is telling you now's the time. And I believe in all of that. There's signs everywhere. You know, you've just got to switch on and be in tune to find them. And this is what it was. So within a nanosecond of that happening, my laptop was open. I brought the story up. I read it again and tweaked and turned. And by the end of January, it was ready. And I thought, well, I need somebody to read this before I put it out to the world, because what if it's not that good? And I'm really not that good a children's author. And I found a beautiful, wonderful editor in America, New York, called Brooke Vitale. And she actually worked for Disney. So she worked for Disney for 10, 15 years, and then she moved on to Penguin House. And I sent her the story thinking she's going to be far too busy and far too important to read this story of little old Kirsty from East Yorkshire. And within about 3 days, she got back to me and said, what an absolutely wonderful story. We need to tweak it here and there because you've actually got 3 stories already in one. Because the Elf BI, which followed, was actually in Santa's Lost Buttons in the beginning. And we stripped it, we literally stripped it all back, removed any trace of Elf BI apart from the last page, which you'll have seen, Karen. And the last page hints at the Elf BI come in, which the children obviously did notice and was asking questions. And it was like, aha, you know, wait and see what comes. And that's literally how it began. And to where we are today, which is now, this is the 3rd Christmas of Santa's Lost Buttons, which we followed it up with the Elf BI, which has just been released this year in September. And they've both just gone crazy, one selling the other. So those that had had Santa's Lost Buttons bought Elf BI, and those that only just heard of me and bought the Elf BI then saw Santa's Lost Buttons, so bought them both. And hence why it's just now gone a little bit crazy to the point of, you know, there's no sleep in this house anymore.
No,
but it's all good.
That's incredible. Like, amazing that that story came from something that happened to you as a child and you made it such a success. Did you, because we're mostly indies, did you do this by yourself? Like the publishing process, was that all you? Did you have any help, or was it just all your own work?
It's literally all my own work. As soon as I became redundant, because I was in that kind of skill set of being able to organize yourself and being able to source things, and as an EA you do a lot of research and things like that anyway, so it wasn't so alien in the fact that I could do the research to figure out what needed to be done. But as far as publishing a book and writing a book and everything else, I had zero experience, absolutely none. All I knew was I needed an editor, a children's editor that knew if the story was good or not. And then I drew from her. She actually really talked me along the process from, you know, the alpha beta readers and making sure that you had what would be my market is the children, is to put that out and have the story read by some parents to children. They all were really excited about it. So we knew we were onto a winner. And then it was finding the illustrator. So obviously, you know, I did my research with the illustrator as well. After one flaw, we took our first illustrator and that just did not work out at all. So we had to quickly adapt and change. And that's when we found Mania from the Philippines, who was just wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. So we worked together on that, the editor, myself and Mania, and finally got it out. But it was completely a whole new concept for me, a whole new learning curve, finding a printer as well.
I imagine finding a publisher was a headache on its own, really.
Oh my goodness me. It was, the thing is, we got approached by quite a few of them. And because I was an unknown and because it was my first book, I'm not saying that all the same. Obviously, your vanity publishers by the thousands, which drives me insane. Don't get me on that subject. Even with a traditional publicist, you know, the advertising and everything else behind that as well, is they will do so much, but you're still doing the lion's share of it anyway.
And getting less money.
Say again, sorry.
And getting less money for it too.
Yes, and getting less money for it too, because the deals that I got offered for Santa's Lost Buttons, and the fact that you hand over all of the rights. So the illustrations and the wording and the book itself was no longer mine. And I was like, this is my baby. This is absolutely not going into the hands of somebody who doesn't love and cherish it and wants to keep the secret as much as I do. I imagined all sorts when it came to, if they did advertise it, they would scream about the secret that came with it. And it was like, well, then it wouldn't no longer be magic, wouldn't no longer be a secret. I do mine so subtly that it's literally in adult groups anywhere where it gets mentioned. And even when it goes out and about, it's still always advertised in a certain different way, that if a child happened to stumble across it, the magic's always there.
Yeah, that makes sense. So the LFBI, tell us a little bit more about that one, because I know more about Santa's Lost Button, but LFBI is newer to me. So what's
Yes.
that story all about?
So the LFBI, like I said earlier, was born in Santa's Lost Buttons. It was about Belle the elf, who was in Santa's Lost Buttons, was drafted by Mrs. Claus to find Santa's Lost Buttons, and she was part of the LFBI, and it went off in all different little nuances, going to the LFBI office and things like that. That's what all got stripped back and taken out. So that created the first one, The Search for Santa's Sleigh. And that is all about, she's in the office, as I don't know if you've seen any of the illustrations, but she's in the office with all the other elves looking at the screens and making sure the children aren't peeking, and the squeaking of the floorboards is seen and heard, to the point, Santa Claus comes in his underwear, not quite ready for the big day itself just yet, with his list saying, oh my goodness, please help me, I've checked these once, I've checked them twice. And as obviously Belle the elf looks and sees that there's a certain little boy's name on it, who we all do know, it's very mischievous and leaves gorgeous little frosty patterns on your window. He's on the list again. And it's all because he loves to play games. He loves to get up to all sorts of mischief, where he would, tap the branches on a tree where there's snow, and the elves are passing by with elves and it falls on their head. And he likes to freeze puddles and cover it with snow so the elves go along and slip and slide whilst carrying parcels, which to him is all a little bit of mischief, is all a little bit of fun, but he doesn't realise, that this, it might not be funny to some. And woe and behold, Mrs. Claus comes screaming into the LFBI office and, claims Jack's taken the sleigh. And then it's all hell and no lotion, shall we say? So Santa and Belle then speed off around the world, visiting all these different countries, as we do in Santa's Lost Buttons, because I love to put in a little bit of your geography in there and introduce the children to the countries and the flags and everything else that goes with it. And they speed around following an icy trail that's got Santa's buttons in, because Mrs. Claus had been shopping and bought Santa's buttons to sew onto his suit, along with candy canes, because that's what they love to eat. Obviously, a lot of candy in the LFBI in the North Pole, and they're now spilling out all over the world from the back of the sleigh, and that's what they're following, this frosty trail with Santa's buttons on and the candy canes, and it just takes them to Australia, New Zealand, and China, and it shows you the landmarks in each of these countries and introduces it to the children, and their native animals, such as a kiwi bird and a wombat and a panda bear. So there's all these little things that are all introduced to the children very, very subtly. So and eventually, will they catch up to Jack? Who knows? Where is he? And will he realize the error of his ways? So it's a real big, lovely adventure, and there's newspapers blowing around in the wind, which shows the children whereabouts in the world they are, and giving them a clue, like freaky weather in summer in Australia is a headline in one, and things like this. So it shows the children it's actually it doesn't snow at Christmas in Australia, but because Jack Frost has been, suddenly, oh no, it's snowing. So there's lots in with the story. So not just does the story rhyme and takes you on this amazing adventure, there's a lot to see in the pictures and pick up in the pictures as well, and read about in the newspaper articles that are blowing around in a gusty wind. And it's just a wonderful adventure, but it incorporates the button so subtly that it doesn't revert it back to Santa's Lost Buttons, but it incorporates the button. So then it's sort of like the Santa's Lost Buttons is the pilot, and the LFBI is then to follow. And there's 3 more LFBIs to come, which will cover the full Believe years from 3 to 7. Okay. So they'll start off with Santa's Lost Buttons when they're very young at 3. So hence why Santa's Lost Buttons is very easy to read, very easy to follow, and the illustrations are that little bit more gentle. And then as you get to the LFBI, it just steps up ever such a notch, just an ever a tiny notch, and then tapers off on a straight line where they will then follow the Believe years and learn about, and every single one of them will cover the world eventually. So it's a real good series to have from 3 to 7.
That's fantastic. I just bought Santa's Lost Buttons for my best friend's girls who have just turned 4, so that's good because they can grow up with the books then.
Absolutely, yes, absolutely, and it'll be a wonderful collection to keep for years to come. So my ultimate goal was to prolong those Believe years of childhood, the precious years of childhood, but also create that family tradition as well. So then what it will be is once these children have grown up, they're going to be, because the hardback and the quality that they are, you want them to be put away for the next generation and the next generation, so that's the whole point of it, is to keep them in the family and just generation after generation after generation, so that when you get to grandma's age and you started off reading them at 3-4 years old, they'll remember that this was where it all began, and just pass that on to the children of the next and the next and the next generation.
That's so pretty.
Oh,
lovely.
It really is. It really is.
Well,
I have to ask.
Oh, sorry. Go on.
I was going to ask Kirsty. So, have you started reading to your grandson, Jude?
Oh, I know. Yes. Oh, so no, that will start this year. Of course, I've been reading to him. When I go and visit him, I'll always pick up his little books that'll say cat and dog, and that was the thing, So that was the thing. There's a place in the world for the cat sat on the mat. Okay, there's always going to be a place in the world for the cat sat on the mat. However, it's like, and what else? What did the cat do when he sat on the mat? It's like, what are we feeding our kids? We need a bit of adventure here. So even when I'm reading these stories to Jude, it's like the cat sat on the mat and he did a little whoopsie. I can't help it. You know how daft I am, Karen. So I can't just do the cat sat on the mat. And Jude looking at me going, yeah, and? So,
I must just say, if you've never seen Kirsty's TikTok, it's the best place in the world. It's just joy and fun. What's your TikTok handle, Kirsty?
It is just Kirsty-Louise Garbutt, as is Instagram as well. So anything, so that it's so easy to find, it never changes. The only thing that's different is Twitter, which is Kirsty PRP. But Twitter's just Twitter and LinkedIn. Because I'm so bonkers balmy, Twitter and LinkedIn don't really work for my personality, because they're a little bit, they're very professional, or Twitter can just be a little bit serious, a bit scary, So Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok is that they suit my personality and my style so much better. So yeah, so if you get to go and have a look on them when I do my little voiceovers, children's voiceovers is what I absolutely adore doing. I need to do a few more of them. There's one, if you go on, actually, I know I diversify, but sorry, there's one where we will remember Michael Barrymore when he did The Kids Say the Funniest Things or something like that. It was called.
That show was great.
Yes, wasn't that show just absolutely awesome? And I found one where it was on TikTok or it was on Instagram, one of the two anyways, and I found a clip that I thought, oh my days, this is just me. So you will find it on there. It's where it's about a little boy and there's Santa's Lost Buttons in the front and he's just reading it from the back. I think I've got a cap on back to front and a pair of glasses on with a plaster over the one of them, and it's just the voiceover of Michael Barrymore having this conversation with this little boy. And he does go on to say about dogs. They start talking about dogs in some way. Michael Barrymore says, "Oh, I love dogs, but mine doesn't bark." So he's like, "Oh, really? What does it meow?" And it's just the way the boy says it in the clip itself is highly hilarious. So it was just me to a T. So I did the complete and utter voiceover to that. It's about 45, 50 seconds long, but you've got to find it. Absolutely,
okay, that's on my list.
Yeah, definitely. It was one that I did and I was crying with laughter doing it. It took me about 17 takes to do because I just kept crying with laughter on it. And it's just when the crowd are laughing, the audience is laughing, I'm like, nobody can see that because it's on audio, but I just pulled a really funny face. So...
Claire, did you have a question?
Yes, I was going to ask, do you have plans to branch out from Christmas books? Because it sounds like, obviously, you've said about the LFBI and keep that as a series for different ages, but it sounds like you've got something very special with your imagination and connecting with children, and I can see the potential already of
Yes, so there's
asking
one,
all these questions.
absolutely, there is one already that's been written for 2 years called the Hullabazoodle, and it's in illustration. So we're about 70% done with that. So it's again the illustrator for Santa's Lost Buttons has been illustrating the Hullabazoodle. Now he became really, really poorly, and I could have easily have taken it away and given it to someone else to illustrate. And he was roughly about 30% of the way through then, but he then became extremely ill. And he did say at one point, if you need to give this to someone else, I'll totally understand, but it's the only thing that's keeping me going. Now, Mania was the one that launched Santa's Lost Buttons for me. His illustrations helped to sell that story.
Yeah.
So there was no way my loyalty was going anywhere. It was staying with Mania, and it
so
still
beautiful.
will. It still will, and I keep saying it. We're still in touch now. He has his good days, he has his bad days, and forever how long it takes to get the Hullabazoodle out there, because his illustration skills are just phenomenal. It will come. We're hoping it will come next year in April. Then it will have been definitely 2 years in the making then. But what an achievement it will be, and something that Mania and I have just worked on for so long. And the children are waiting for it. So I think even those that were waiting for it 2 years ago will still say, I still want it. So, because that's
I'm
just an
waiting
amazing
for it.
story. I know. And I have so many written. I've got Knee High and the Grasshopper, which is just an amazing story. And it's a little girl called Knee High, and you know, she just befriends a grasshopper, and I couldn't and it's just amazing. And she has the grasshopper in a glass jar. Tell you just the basis of it. She has it in the jar, and the little old lady comes along and says, do you not think that the grasshopper, this is the basis of it, the grasshopper should be set free? I don't think he wants to be in a glass jar. But she's like, but he's my friend, and you know, and then the magic happens where she becomes knee high to a grasshopper. So she is like that big. And he's tinier than the grasshopper, and then they go on this adventure getting him back home to where he needs to be. And that's a fantastically funny but brilliant little story again. So, and the title, I just love the title. I was like, well, knee high and the grasshopper, it's just begging, you know, absolutely begging to be written. So I've got so many, absolutely so many. The Cave Crusaders is another one, with a group of children that, you know, go and have an amazing adventure in a cave where they have to get to the end of the cave and free themselves. And that's again putting it just in a layman's term. And then right at the end of the story, you understand what the cave was. So again, that's all about the imagination. Is a climbing frame a cave? You know, is a paddling pool like a blue lagoon under the world full of like squaglodites and things like this? You know, so it's again all about what you interpret your imagination to be.
That's just
I just
fantastic.
want to get into all of the books right now.
Yes,
I could go on and on and on.
We'll have to have you back when your next one's out, and we'll talk more about the zoo.
Yes, absolutely.
I have seen bits of illustrations for it, and they're so beautiful.
They're fabulous, aren't they? Yeah, the mixture of the creatures is just phenomenal, which is what I really loved. And that literally came from just not paying too much attention to the TV, doing my thing, and just hearing the word kangaroo rat, and that was it. That was it. The whole story was written just from it. I was like, kangaroo rat, what's a kangaroo rat? Googled it and went, oh, is that a kangaroo rat? Is that what? It's just like a rodent with big back legs. So that was it. It was then speaking to children, draw me a kangaroo rat. What do you think a kangaroo rat looks like? And what came out of their minds was unbelievable. So that's the basis of the Hullabazoodle, is just what it says on the tin isn't always quite right. So the doodle bug will change it for you.
I thought about you the other day because when I was with my nephew, and I don't even know why, but we were talking about animals and crossing animals. I was like, I'm sure Kirsty's writing a book about that. I'm sure she is.
Yes, that is it.
My nephew has quite the imagination. He's writing all the time.
Good.
writes, he's so cute. He gets a piece of paper and he folds it in half and he draws a picture on the
Yes.
front,
Oh,
makes a cover,
bless.
and then he writes the
Yes.
blurb on the back before he's even written the
Yes.
story. And I was like, you're the
Oh,
cutest.
bless him.
Oh, literally, that is literally what I would do.
Yeah.
Tear out a page of A4 lined paper, tear it in half, fold it in half, and literally create your own book. I did that day in, day out. I used to have hundreds of them, all these books that I would write. Yeah, that's how it all begins.
During the summer, we rewrote Jumanji together.
Yes.
We had our own creatures. We had different like animals swarming and attacking, and we were in different countries. I was like, oh, this is so fun.
Yes, isn't it? Isn't it? Just the world of imagination is phenomenal. You can escape for as long as you like, to where you like, when you like. I love it.
That was amazing. So what we will do when the podcast goes out is we'll make sure all of your information is on our Facebook page, so people can go along and have a look at all of the amazing things you have.
Yeah.
And hopefully we will get some more interest in it for you, because I just want a copy for myself now anyway. So
Kirsty, I was going to ask you, do you go ahead? I saw on your Instagram page, you do some readings and different things at bookstores. Are you doing any of them this year? Or
Yes, absolutely. We've got 6 to go. So we've done many events. We've done some corporate events, some private corporate events. We've done some private schools. We did the Ribble Valley as well, where that was a meet the author and meet Santa. So they would come and hear a story from me first, then go in to see Santa. That was phenomenal.
That's amazing.
Oh, I read the stories countless times that day. By the end of the day, I couldn't speak, because it was literally, I had read it and read it and read it, and the children get so excited that I get excited. So in the end, my voice totally broke by the end of the day. And we've got Darlington to go, we've got Sheffield to go, we have the East Riding and Aldeburgh to go.
I will tell you, Kirsty, I've been looking at your Instagram page and you're just adorable. Your Santa, the Mrs. Claus costume, you're just adorable.
Oh, thank you so much. I do love to wear it. And as soon as I put it on and go out there, I'm a completely different person. I'm still nuts, but I do take on the persona of, it's like a cross between Mary Poppins and Mrs. Claus. It's just like molded together, and the children just are absolutely fascinated by it. They want to try my cape on, and it's just wonderful. Really is wonderful. I've got a few schools to go as well, which one of them's has got 85, was it the last count, 85 children coming to see the story in one session. And then the younger ones and the autistic ones, we've moved into a different session because it was way too much in the other one. And there's around 20 or 30 in that one, but it'll be a little bit calmer, keeping it a little bit on the down low. So I have to really rein myself in, because I'm like, woo! And it's like, oh no, don't do that.
Yeah, it's hard to kind of not let them get overwhelmed, so just kind of gentle, as gentle as possible.
Yes. So the 85 children all clambering to try and find the buttons will be just hilarious. It's just, the most I've ever done in one setting, and did 12 of them in one day, was 30 in each session.
That's a lot.
Yeah,
I know, right? 30 is still 85. I'm kind of going, oh my goodness me.
Yeah, that's going to be fun.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome.
Okay, are we out of questions? Are we?
I have another question. Would you? It seems like obviously you've got a real affinity for children and entertaining them. But would you ever write for other ages, or is it just that?
Yeah, do you know? Yeah. I really would. I'd love to kind of move into the 7 to 11.
Yeah,
because I can get more story in. You're very limited to the word count. I keep mine kind of under 750 words in the books that I have now. Santa's Lost Buttons, I think, is around 670. The LFBI is around 730, because again, it just stepped it up that little bit of a notch for the LFBI. So it was that little bit longer. But the amount of stories I have in my head needs longer. Yeah. So it is that now, do you step it up? So you've got the 3 to 7. Do you go the 7 to 11, where you have, you can do probably around 2 to 3 to 4,000 words in a small little kind of novella? Not so much a novella, because it's not as long as a novella, but just to get them introduced to reading longer.
Yeah.
So there is there is that. But in this day and age as well, I think we underestimate our kids. They are smart. So we categorize, and I don't really like to categorize my books too much in the 3 to 7. I only chose the 3 to 7 because for me those are the believe years only. However, I have children that still buy my books and they're 10, because it's just the magic of the story that I really want out there for the children, not so much the age range. And they all have different, their abilities are different. A 3-year-old I've heard reading, and I've heard an 8-year-old struggling. So it is one of those. It's the child is an individual, so therefore you write the book for each child. Some will need help, others will read it at a breeze, So I kind of think when you categorize a child in that 3 to 7 bracket, you will get a 7-year-old that's probably reading Harry Potter. So you've got to be mindful of that. So my books are 3 to 7, but that 7-year-old's just finished Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. So it's that, it's
definitely harder to pitch, I think, for children because, as you said, abilities do range quite vastly in that age. When I have my nephew's 8, coming up for 9, and he's still a Santa Claus believer. He actually asked the other day, "Is Santa real?" And I said, "Of course he is. What are you talking about?"
Yes, absolutely is. Absolutely is.
Of course he's real. But I think potentially in a year or two that time might be over. But he is a strong reader also, but I still think he would get a kick out of it at almost 9 years old. So
yes,
it does
absolutely.
very much depend on the
absolutely.
child.
Yeah, because I think you do get some children that sadly, it becomes a time. I'm not even going to say the words because it upsets me, but there comes a time when they move on. But however, they still like to hold on to the magic. So, the knowledge is there.
Yeah.
They're older, but the magic will never leave them. And that's when I signed the LFBI and Santa's Lost Buttons. In Santa's Lost Buttons, it's always believe in the magic of Christmas because it's their first one. And then in the LFBI, it's when you believe the magic begins. So it's just stepping them up and still keeping them focused on, we change, we develop, we get older. However, you don't have to forget the magic. Keep the magic there.
Love that message.
Absolutely.
Like Claire was saying, it's such a good way to think of life as well. Like, if you're always looking for the magic, then life is better.
100%. 100%. If you believe, the magic begins. It's just that's exactly what it is, Spread that word.
We're all enchanted by you here, so
yeah, absolutely.
Bless you. You need to come to a live reading, seriously.
We thought we would discuss some of our favourite Christmas books and movies because pretty much when this time of year comes around, all you want to do is snuggle up with a nice book or a nice movie. So what are your favourites of either or both?
I reckon you'll know because you know that I love Victorian, because obviously the Hullabazoodle set in the Victorian times. My LFBI and Santa's Lost Buttons is it's not very, very modern. It's very retro, so bring it back down again. And I love anything Dickensian. So it will always be A Christmas Carol. It will always be Charles Dickens. And if I could have a time machine and go back to any time whatsoever, it would be to meet Charles Dickens, 100%. He fascinates me. And Christmas Carol, I've seen every single version of A Christmas Carol going.
Wow.
Every single version. And my Christmas starts when I first watched George C. Scott in Scrooge. 100%.
It's a great movie.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I love it.
Absolutely.
What about you, Paula? What are your favorites?
Oh, well, I love A Christmas Carol. I totally agree with you. I also love movie-wise. I like, I don't know if it's big in the UK, but A Christmas Story, which it's a really, everybody needs to see it. It's actually a true story. This author he was a writer named Gene Shepherd. He basically tells of his Christmas growing up in Indiana. It's adorable. It is so funny. I can kind of relate to it because I'm from Chicago. So seeing
fabulous.
some of the hysterical parts with this kid, his name is Ralphie, wants a Red Ryder little gun. And they're all like, "No, you can't have it. You're going to shoot your eye out." And then he writes this essay And the teacher even writes, no, you can't have it. You're going to shoot your eye out. Stuff like that. It was just, it's hysterical from start to finish.
Oh, I've
They
got to see it.
literally play it 24 hours on this one channel in the United States on Christmas Day. It's hilarious. So that would be, and of course, this is kind of a UK connection. Love Actually is one of my favorites.
Oh, yes,
Gotta be done.
absolutely. And The Holiday. Oh my
That is.
I love The Holiday.
Oh, The Holiday.
You know, that's The
Oh.
Holiday is another one. Yes, love that.
Love that.
Love,
Yeah.
love
Jack Black is sensationally attractive in that movie. Just
Oh,
so attractive.
yes.
Sorry, I'm a bit of a Jude Law fan on that one. So
He's
yeah.
young.
Yeah, see,
But
Really?
The Holiday, I'm like, oh, he's.
Oh, The
very
Holiday's dreamy. He is absolute. When he does Mr. Napkin Head with the kids, that's me sold.
yeah.
Absolutely
So cute.
sold.
Yeah, it's the perfect casting, I think, that movie. It was done just right, I think.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I loved it. I'm gonna go watch it now. I'm sure
Oh,
it'll
that's
be
good.
on. I'm
Yeah.
sure it'll be on Amazon or Netflix.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all over the place usually, isn't it? But
Yes.
I think the reason I love it so much is because it was because of the Jack Black thing. It's not your typical leading man. You wouldn't normally fall for.
No,
Jack Black
absolutely
is
not.
your obvious leading man, and he's so perfect. I was like, oh, I think I love him.
Do you know what? I think he gained quite a fair few female followers after that, you know.
His voice, though, it's like so deep. I'm just like, oh, that's nice. Sing to me.
Oh yes. Oh, when he plays Walter's song though, I must admit he did make my heart flutter a little bit. Do 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 do. Oh yes.
We haven't seen it a million times at all.
No, not at all.
Oh.
I can't recite it word for word, honestly. I really can't.
No, me neither. What about you, Claire? What you got?
The Nutcracker Prince.
Oh, bless.
Absolutely love. I grew up watching the animated version. I think it's got Kiefer Sutherland voicing it, and my mom had the Tchaikovsky cassette tapes, and then I'd dance around the living room pretending I was a sugar plum fairy. Then eventually, we went to me, my mom, and my sister actually went to the ballet to see it. It was amazing.
Oh, I'm jealous.
Read the book version of it. And love it.
Oh, that
Every
is
year-
amazing. So jealous
Every
of
year
that.
I
You
tell
just
Claire
spin
I'm
around.
going to watch it, and I still haven't seen it.
Watch it.
Oh,
yeah.
Good.
Yes,
I will.
yes.
It's one of those magical take you away things.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, love that. I do love the Nutcracker, and I think it's such a classic, and it's like a tradition,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
bit like the pantomime and things like that. It's the Nutcracker for me screams. It's a bit like the Dickens. It's,
Yes.
you know, it's all in that genre, in that era for me.
Yeah, because the animated version, I'm trying to think when it's set, but it's like quite old fashioned.
Yes,
Their clothing and stuff, and it's got this romanticism to it, I think, and I think that's what like Victorian novels had as well. It's that like it's almost otherworldly and dreamy.
Yeah, absolutely. If you think of Christmases past and you think of like the Dickens era, you know, the mid 19th century kind of, oh my days, I would have absolutely loved to have experienced a Victorian Christmas, you know, Christmas tree with the candles on, which were like mega dangerous, but just that whole scene, it's like, Victorian, just that British, quintessentially British Victorian Christmas where it snowed. It snowed when it was Christmas because we just didn't have global warming then because people weren't silly. It was brilliant. It was just brilliant. I want to go back.
Yeah, it would be nice. Maybe you could do a story about a time machine.
I know, right? I am.
Yeah, that would be so cool.
That would be so cool. Really cool.
Time machine, Victorian Christmas. I love the idea of like a modern family trying to fit into a Victorian Christmas.
Oh my days, yes. Yes, absolutely. Where the kids unwrap the presents and it's like a wooden horse and an orange in the stocking and things like that. And the kids go, "Well, where's my Game Boy?" And I think we've even passed the era of Game Boys, haven't we? We've moved on from that even. But, you know, that would be awesome. Absolutely awesome. A pull-along dog, you know, made of wood and things like that. Yes.
It's
like
making me
looking
think
like,
about
what?
what you said earlier, though, about the button and stuff. In like Victorian times, there was that kind of almost magic, like not fantasy magic, but like stage magic, sleight of hand, that
Yes.
I think Christmas has lost in some
Yes.
ways now.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Just that, you know, when you look back at the shows in the Victorian times as well, and
Yeah.
you know, and you kind of watch them now going, people genuinely just really fell for it and fell in love with it.
Mm.
And you're right, that era has passed and gone. And I just think I've been reincarnated. I'm sure I was from I seriously believe it. I do. I'm sure that's where I lived and loved it. I think my life was caught
Makes
short in the
sense.
Victorian era somewhere.
Yeah, so you're back now to reinvent it and bring it
Yes.
all back.
Yes, that's it. That's exactly it. Exactly it. Hence why I love the costume I wear, because it just reminds me
Yeah.
of the Victorian
It's
era, you know.
it's pretty.
It's
So pretty.
super duper. It's lovely. It's really nice to wear as well. It's like, oh, could get used to this.
Yeah, it does look good.
It's really nice. Feels really nice. It really does.
Do we have any favourite Christmas books, or are we all movies?
So
Um,
books, yeah, the adult books for me. Tell me to shut up because, like, I talk forever, you know.
I don't know.
I literally only found the Sarah Morgan. Has anybody come across Sarah Morgan?
I
Yeah.
recognise the
Yes.
name, but
Yeah, she's fantastically adults Christmas
yeah.
novels, and I read hers last year. One More for Christmas, I think it was. Somebody bought me it, and
Mhm.
I thought,
Okay.
I'm not really into romance. I'm not a romance reader. When I read all thrillers, crime, psychological. Honestly, for a children's author, I'm really weird, you know. So, but I think if you think of it, the FBI, that's all about, you know, it's investigations, it's, you know,
Yeah.
detective work.
Actually,
And
there's a crime committed, so you know.
yes, absolutely. There's a festive crime committed, and the FBI are on it. You know, so you can see the link, and you can see what I really love to do, and I love the naughtiness and mischief as well. So
Yeah.
you know, you see where my inspiration comes from. But yeah, so the Sarah Morgan Christmas books, I was actually really pleasantly surprised. So yeah, I would give them a shout to anybody, you know.
Fantastic. And we'll get to it in a minute. We've got a whole
Yeah.
bunch of Christmas book recs coming up very shortly. But just trying to think about, I'm trying to think what I've read. I'm reading Tinsel and Truths at the moment by Rosie East, which is cute. We've got one that's coming up also that MB Feeney is about to release one. I think it's on the 18th that's
Mm.
coming out. And it's about a girl who she has to take a date to her Christmas holiday party thingy for work, and she hasn't got a boyfriend, so she hires a date. So the whole fake date thing, it's very cute. I really enjoyed it.
Yes, yes. Oh, it sounds good. There's a movie similar to that, isn't there?
Holiday, I think, was that one.
Is that what it is? Yes. Yeah, I was going to
Holiday
say,
with
I'm sure
Emma
I've watched
Roberts.
a movie similar to that.
Really good. It's really
I think
good. It's on
Christmas
Netflix.
time really lends itself well to romantic stories. So
It
it's
does.
like the extra magic.
Yeah, it does. I must admit, that's why I do kind of like Sarah Morgan, to be honest. She's I'm like I say, I'm not usually into any Mills and Boonsy capey thing or anything like that. It has to have a bit of grit. And Sarah Morgan's kind of got it all, you know. So
Yeah.
it's good. It's good. It's very romantic, very festive, but sort of like has the, you know, the little secrets that need unraveling and things like that. So yeah, I enjoyed her. So she just brought a new one out as well this year, I think.
Oh, cool.
Mm,
Okay.
give her a
Well,
whirl.
since we are on the topic of books, shall we go into our book recs?
Yes, can.
Yeah, okay, let's go.
Right. So first of all, we've got The Towers by H.L. Hydeman, which will be releasing in early December. Pandemic, recession, war, that's how it goes on repeat, no matter how many years have passed. There was only so much our country could take before the government built the Towers project. Nice contained communities designed to keep us free from disease and conflict, or so they told us. Maybe the world was different now. Maybe we could leave and find out for ourselves. No, the powers that be kept us safe and compliant. They want good, healthy little pools of new soldiers. I lived in the Towers for the last 10 years. reliving the same mundane existence within those sterile walls, until one day Daniel Lauder came to me with now or never offer of freedom. Could I take it and leave the towers, leave my family and friends, or would I be destined to stay here as a pawn in whatever game our government is playing?
So good, so good.
It sounds brilliant.
Wow. I had my eyes closed listening to all of that. I love it when you think. Honestly, if you close your eyes though and listen, you hear loads, don't you?
You really do. But this book is so H.L. Haldeman is spectacular, like actually spectacular. She's got the most. She's so intelligent. She thinks hard about things, and I don't know for sure, but my guess is that this came from the pandemic.
Yes.
When everyone was locked in, and she had this idea of, well, what happens if we never get out?
Mm-hmm.
And this story is essentially what happened, what could have happened if instead of being free to live our lives again, they built these places where people had to live contained, and everything is like filtered air, nothing, you can't go outside, everything is all inside, no real jobs, no life outside this building that you're in. And one day a couple of them decide, that's enough of that shit, let's go. So they construct a plan to get out, and the story is of them, they're trying to reach London because they've heard rumours that London has gone back to normal, and they want the government, or not the government, but people to hear their story. So the main character, whose name is Avril, she leaves with her kind of the guy she's seeing, and his brother, and they set off together. And Avril and the brother, they have this weird history where they used to be friends, but then they weren't. And the reason why transpires on this journey. So they're going, they steal a car to start with, then the car gets ruined, and they have to find their way on foot from these crappy printed maps that was all they had left to find their way around.
Wow.
And they're being chased by the people who are in the towers, and they're trying to find them. So they're trying to find out ways to kind of stay off the main tracks. And while essentially a story that is just people walking from one end of the country to the other should be boring, it really isn't. It's superb. So I highly recommend it. It's sublime. And there's a book 2 as well. So book 2 is in the process of being written.
Yeah.
Okay, who's gonna go next? Shall I go next?
I'll go next.
Okay.
So
go.
We have it's called Rewriting Christmas by our famous Kyra Lennon. So very excited. I'm not sure, when is it releasing, Karen?
I will let you know.
Okay.
I don't know.
So we'll say December. Sometime in December. So
December, yeah.
Okay. When Nova heads to her elderly neighbor's house for their regular afternoon tea, she's greeted by an unfamiliar face. Donovan, her neighbor's grandson and renowned travel blogger, has been forced to return to England for the first time in 10 years to spend some time with his grandmother after his grandfather's passing. It isn't long before Nova realizes that Donovan is actually little Donnie, the boy she played with during the Christmas holidays when his family visited in town to see their relatives. Now he's tall, broad, and sexy, and the attraction between them soon begins to crackle. However, in the 20 years since they last saw each other, the fun-loving kid Nova used to know has turned into a hardened, cynical adult. Unwilling to deal with his selfish attitude, Nova sets out to remind him that small-town life isn't the drag he's making it out to be. Will she be able to melt his cold heart, or will he walk away leaving Nova's childhood Christmas memories tainted forever?
Yay!
Oh my God, I can't wait
I
to
would
read
read that.
It is so good.
I would definitely read that.
That sounds
definitely
amazing.
do. I was lucky Karen let me be to read it this weekend.
Yeah.
And I love her books anyway because she's an extraordinary writer. But this is like, I said to her in a message, this ticks every box. It's based in her hometown by the seaside in Dawlish. So that's like, it's a love letter to Dawlish, and it's so beautifully described. You can really feel and transport yourself there. And then the added cuteness of Christmas. I was saying to my husband, like, after reading this book, I want to go and get the Christmas tree up. I feel so like festive already.
Yes.
The part that got me though, there's grandmother in it, and she's lost her husband, and whenever
Oh,
she thinks about like her first Christmas without him and stuff, and I'm just sitting there thinking, oh, one
oh,
day this is gonna happen, and like
oh,
getting choked up, and just
yeah.
so
Oh no,
beautifully
yeah.
written. It's
Oh yes, I would
brilliant.
definitely read
Yes,
that. Like you say, Christmas lends itself to a little bit of festive romance, I think.
it
So
does.
it's maybe you'll be my new Sarah Morgan.
Oh, I hope so. I would love it if I could. I felt like I feel like I can't just write a romance. There always has to be something else going on the side.
Yes.
Can't just be a straight romance. No, no. I've got to have a nice level of grief on the side just to
Yeah,
cheer things up.
well,
That's life.
yes, yes. Well, but that is life. That
Yeah.
is life, isn't it? Life isn't always a bowl of romantic cherries. You know, there are a few sticky, rotten plums in there.
Oh
Mm.
yeah. I just I
Absolutely.
don't know. I don't even know where the idea came from exactly. It just sort of fit
Happened.
together in my head. So I was like, yeah, I'll go with it. And when I first wrote it, because I actually wrote it as an anthology piece for a short story collection last year, and it literally was just he was a guy who was coming to stay with his grandma after she lost her husband, and he didn't really want to be there,
Mm.
and he met the next door neighbor and was kind of rude to her, and she was like, well, he's clearly a prick. And it kind of was quite short, and it ended with him coming around to apologize, and she took him out to visit the Christmas lights that he would have seen growing up.
Mm.
So it was quite a small, that was a small version of it. And then as I started writing, I was like, how can I make this more interesting? So that's when I threw in the element of, oh, perhaps they knew each other when they were children, which makes it
Love that added
Yeah,
element.
yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah,
yeah,
just
suddenly just a
absolutely.
bit another layer to it.
mm,
And I kind of made him a bit colder in the beginning than he was originally. He's a bit more kind
Yes.
of standoffish, but Claire still hasn't
Love
even read the
that.
end because I haven't written it yet.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
getting
love
there.
it.
write
Love it,
it
love it, love
now.
it.
I need it.
Once this
Yeah.
call is over, I am gonna get back on it.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Cool.
hang you to the computer.
I'm so glad there's 2 more chapters up, just FYI, on the
Oh,
document.
cool. I'll go and read that in a minute then.
Okay. Anyway, sorry, enough
Bye.
about me. Yeah, she's off. Okay, so next up we have the Christmas Stand-In by MV Feeney, which is releasing on December the 18th. So when Olivia Bond needs a date, she decides to rent one for the day. With her office Christmas dinner approaching and the lack of a boyfriend to accompany her, Olivia drunkenly books a date with Renter Hunter. The following morning, she almost cancels, but her best friend hooks her into it with the famous last words, "What's the worst that could happen?" I mean, sure, she could get scammed for a couple of $100s, but maybe she could end up enjoying herself. When she meets Hunter, she starts to think it could be a good idea. He's charming, likable, and did she mention hot? Could what starts out as a business transaction end up as a more meaningful connection? So I have also read that. I've been
That
busy.
sounds great.
It's
You're
really
so
sweet.
lucky getting to read all these.
The perks of being an editor.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a really nice story. I really like MV Feeney's books, and this is a really good one. So
Sounds
highly
lovely.
recommend.
Sounds good.
One more.
Yes, I got The Gift of Christmas by Drew Duncan, which releases on December the 4th. And it's for 6 years, widower Derek has been alone for Christmas. This year, his sister tricks him into revisiting some holiday traditions with their family, determined to bring her brother back to life. Enter Brian, a single photographer who gives Derek a seasonal snapshot of what life could be like if he let go of his grief. Is Derek ready for festive fun once more? And is Brian the one to give him back the gift of Christmas? The Gift of Christmas is a male-male holiday romance inspired by a Christmas carol set in a small town in the USA. It has an element of hurt comfort and a cheeky yet meddling older sister and a chance at happiness for the holidays.
I read that too. It's so excellent.
I was talking to Drew Duncan recently about it, and I love second chance romances like that of people healing after like a death or something.
It's adorable, and funny we were talking about it, but A Christmas Carol is the inspiration for the story.
Yes.
It's woven in very subtly, actually. I mean, the guy has a dream, and that part isn't obviously, that's the important part. But the end, I think it weaves it in quite subtly, and it's just a really cute story. And
Yeah.
and 100% clean, which is very unusual for Drew Duncan.
Oh, right. I wasn't sure about, because she writes under a few pen names. I wasn't sure about her male romances, whether they were clean or spicy.
Generally spicy, but this one is all
Right.
Christmas prettiness.
Oh.
All of her, I mean, if you like romances, I can't recommend her enough. She's got, I can never remember the damn name of the book, but it's about, it's my favourite book as well of hers, and I still can't remember what it's called. And it's about a prince and like a prince commoner kind of thing, and it's just so cute.
Nice.
And it's funny. The prince is hilarious and not your out. It's I think a bit Prince Harry like, but you know, back in the day when he was a bit cheeky and a bit naughty.
Mischievous Harry. We love mischievous Harry.
Yeah. Anyway, so those are our releases for December. The details will be on our Facebook page as soon as the podcast goes live. As soon as the podcast goes live. Jesus Christ. You can tell it's been a long day, can't you? Words are suddenly failing me. Okay. So every month we give away an ebook or two with our monthly question, and this month I'm going to be stepping it up by giving away a paperback of my new book, Rewriting Christmas. So all you have to do, and this is a very simple one, just drop us an email and let us know what your favourite Christmas movie is and why you enjoy it so much. And you can send your emails to podcastwhwn@gmail.com. Okay, so that just about wraps us up for this episode. Thank you so much to Kirsty for joining us.
You're very welcome. I really enjoyed that. I so enjoyed that.
Been so great hearing all about your books and your love of Christmas. It's just...
Thank you.
Now
that was amazing.
We're all gonna go put up our trees and our decorations right now.
Yes, get it.
Oh, look at that. Oh, wow. Stunning.
I can't get it all in. It's a huge Christmas scene going on in my bay window there. It's like Gonk City Central with snowballs.
Yeah, I noticed the gonks.
Yeah.
I got a couple of gonks, actually. Thank you. Yeah. Anyway, we will see you all in January. Have a lovely Christmas. And that's all from us for this month. See you later.
Toodle
bye.
Take care. Everybody, Merry Christmas.